What's up everyone, Craig here for the Tropical Tribe, and I'm out walking the dog on this moody morning. And this week I'm going to show you around my greenhouse, and I've been meaning to make this video. Oh, the dog is doing a loop. I've been meaning to make this video for weeks, but while work has been trying to figure out their way through this pandemic, I've been working weekends, then not working weekends, working Fridays, not working Fridays. It's been manic and it's screwed up everything outside of work. But for the time being, I've got some predictability back, so I can post another video. Once I'm done on this moody morning walking this dog, I'll go home and I'll show you my new and my first greenhouse. I've had to make a lot of changes in the garden to squeeze it in, because remember how tiny my garden is, and I look forward to showing you around. But first, this dog who keeps doing circles needs her exercise. Okay, so into the warm and out of the wind. Let's talk greenhouses. To fit mine in, I first had to take down the deck. No, the shed. I had to take down the shed. The dog is still going crazy. I don't know if you can hear her in the background. The walk was supposed to wear her out. I had to take down the shed, which was a feat in itself, because after we'd built the shed, we built a deck around it. And as part of that installation, we screwed the deck to the sides of the shed, which meant that if the shed went, then part of the deck had to go, which in turn worked out quite well, because the footprint of the greenhouse could be slightly bigger and move away from the fence slightly, so that the installer could put the glass panes in. Oh yeah, I treated myself to an installer. After all the stress of taking down a shed, cutting up a deck, there was no way I was going to stress myself out putting up a greenhouse. So we paid someone else to do it, and I can't recommend that enough. The thing arrives, you dream of this greenhouse when you look at it in its boxes, go to work, come home, and a couple of days later it's up. Now, within the first day of it being put up, I'd filled up the greenhouse, and I'm still trying to squeeze in plants. But I'll stop waffling. Let's go in and have a look, and I'll show you around. So here we are, this is the greenhouse. As you can see, it's absolutely packed to the rafters with plants. But first, I'll show you some of the features on the greenhouse. I started by adding these low down louver vents, which open and close really easily and then lock up. There's one on this side and one on this side, and this is going to really help circulate air, because in the summer my garden gets absolutely boiling. Up on the top we've got enormous roof vents, again one on each side, and these are automatic, so as it gets hot they pop open. Now, I've been at work most of the time when it's hot days, but you do have this little dial here, so you can tweak it. So in the summer I can watch when they start to open and either make them open earlier or later, depending what temperature I want to keep the greenhouse. I went all out for staging. Now that's the shelves. I went for one deep shelf, low down on each side of the greenhouse. Initially I was just going to have one and then leave this side open so that I could bring in all my bigger pots and push them to one side. But I was told by friends and family that I'd quickly run out of space, so I went for one on each side. And then above that, I've gone for a narrow shelf. And at the moment I'm using this to keep the bigger plants and plants that need a bit more light. And the same on this side. Another narrow shelf here, absolutely chocker with plants. And then at the back, I've gone for a full width, which is 6 foot wide shelf, which you can see I'm using for plant divisions and cuttings. It's a nice narrow shelf where I can keep them all in one spot. Maybe eventually I'll put some sort of heat mat along here, just so that the propagation area will be much more effective. And then I've also squeezed in this seed shelf. Like I say, I went all out because I didn't want to run out of space. This thing, come spring and probably later on, will be used for bringing on seedlings, I'll start them in a heated propagator, and then I'll pot them up or put the half seed trays into these trays, and then they can grow away here. And it's just a nice efficient way of keeping all of those young seedlings in one spot, leaving all of this shelving, this staging space, free for other plants. Now, as I've been using the greenhouse, I've found out which areas get hot and which areas are colder and shadier, and I've managed to adjust the plants depending on that. And I've only known this because, oh yeah, I got the greenhouse for my birthday. It was a treat and my wife's idea. And as part of my birthday gift, my mum and my brother got me things for my greenhouse. So my mum got me this one, which has the maximum and minimum temperature, which is great for just monitoring how cold the greenhouse gets at night. And then I can adjust my heater just to make sure it stays around the 10-degree mark, because that's sort of the temperature that most tropical plants will cope with through the winter months. And it's got this humidity gauge, again with maximum and minimum, which is great because at this time of year you want to make sure that your greenhouse isn't too wet. Cold and wet just makes for rot. My brother got me this little gizmo, which again has temperature and humidity, but this is Bluetooth and it links to my phone when I'm in the house. So I can sit in the house stressing about what's going on in the greenhouse. But I joke, it's actually really useful. I'll put a link to one of these in the description. There's a cool little app and it actually shows you a line graph through the night, well, 24 hours a day, of humidity and temperature. And it tells you kind of the averages of temperature and humidity that your greenhouse has been. But because of these, I found that this side of the greenhouse, because of the fence, is a lot cooler. So things like begonias, which have delicate leaves and don't like being absolutely fried in heat, are all here. And now a lot of these are either new plugs that I'm growing on or mother plants that I'm going to take cuttings from, like this Begonia luxurians. We've got streptocarpus, which I've divided here, and they're all flowering well. And this is Begonia fusca. Now, if you're a begonia nerd, you'll probably know about this, but this will grow to be an absolute beast. And I grew these from leaf cuttings, and you can see there's 4 or 5 plants there. And when they get to the right size, I'm actually going to start selling these. So keep your eyes out on the Tropical Tribe website. And I've got impatiens. These are shade-loving plants, and these are my mother plants. So they all sit here. This one's Kilimanjaro, flowering away happily. This is that red velvet Morsii, which is quite a slow grower, and it's a much duller plant than I thought it was going to be, but the leaves are cool and the flowers are cool. And this one, Flanaganii, which has great big pink flowers, but is yet to flower for me. Oh, and check this guy out. My wife knows I love Gru, that character from the Marvel film. So she got me this cool carved Gru character, and I might have a go at growing some tiny little climber up him. But for the time being, he's my mascot. And I have Bromeliads here as well, which grow in kind of partial shade in the canopy of trees. So they're really happy here. I've got a tray of variegated Bromeliads tucked in under here because I found that the variegation sort of fades in full sun and it's colouring up much nicer down here. But on this side, up top, this shelf measured 35 degrees yesterday, so I came in and I rearranged. All of my aeoniums and succulents are here. This is all of my succulent propagation, and they're all rooting really, really well. But it gets baking hot up there, so it has to be plants that can cope with it. Down below is my shelf. Now these are all plants that I'm going to list for sale on the website. I've already started selling plants, so if you haven't checked out the Tropical Tribe website, do it now. Click on the plant shop and you'll see as soon as plants are the right size, I'm going to ship them. And I'm going to sell them small, and I'm going to sell them cheaper because it saves for postage, and you guys can grow them on. All of these Brugmansia are all up for sale already, and they've been selling, so go and check it out quick. Echiumod pretii, which these were up on that top shelf that was boiling hot, and you can see they've suffered a bit, so I'm going to nurse these on and just see if I can get them back to health. That lovely purple-leaved Persian shield Strobilanthes. These were all grown from cuttings. Begonia luxurians. Musella laciocarpa banana. I skipped over, I've managed to divide that Farfugium with the spotty leaved as a bigger one. So hopefully I'll have a few of these for sale. That lovely purple leaved Impatiens, which hasn't coloured up yet, but these were grown from cuttings. And loads of that orange flowering Impatiens, Oricoma cross bicaudata hybrid. Some of them are even flowering at this size. These will be ready soon because I don't want to ship them too big, so keep your eyes out for them. And this is the standard Congo cockatoo Impatiens. There's a couple more mother plants. You've got my Tibishina. And then in the seed tray at the moment, obviously aren't seedlings, it's all of my Canna and Hedychium rhizomes that I've divided, ready to start growing in spring. I'm just storing them dry in 9cm pots, ready to grow away when it warms up. Hopefully they'll be all right here. I won't get them wet, so we'll try and avoid rot. And under the benches are either mother plants, like this Begonia pedata feeder, which I will divide, propagate and sell. And just this year that had that pink flower. Alocasia, you've got a couple of potted Bromeliads, one right at the back there and one here. Monstera, which I managed to divide a few tiny bits off of. Loads of Colocasia Blue Hawaii. I'm deciding whether to sell these now or propagate. The mother plant of the Farfugium. The variegated Bromeliads I've already told you about. This is my Colocasia Borneo giant, Thai giant? No, Thai giant. I've chopped all the leaves off, but it's still growing. More Alocasia macrorhizos, which were pups off of the main plant. There's 3 here, they'll be up for sale soon. Lobelia fistulosa, which I was kindly gifted. And my mountain papaya. And you can see outside, I've got Persicaria that I propagated. All of the hardy stuff that I propagate, I'm going to store on a bench outside, but just near the greenhouse so it keeps the warmth, just to keep things growing on. Now I do have a heater. This again was a birthday gift. There's no temperature, but I've figured out that this is 10 degrees. You can have 2 fans or not. So I'm putting this on the colder nights and a little potting station. I've got to make my dog be quiet. She's so needy. Go to sleep, go to sleep. Okay, she's quiet. That was quite a long and thorough tour of the greenhouse, and you can see what I mean. I think all of us would do it. You get a greenhouse, more growing space, you're gonna fill it up. So as plants get big enough, I have to sell them. I have to sell them, otherwise I'm not gonna have space to experiment with new plants. So please check out the Tropical Tribe website. As plants are ready, I'll put them up, so it's just worth frequently checking. I'll post on the community page on this YouTube channel as well, so hit subscribe to be part of the Tropical Tribe. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed the walk around the greenhouse. It's an exciting addition to the garden, so I should be able to grow loads through winter. Now, I've bought bubble wrap for the greenhouse to insulate it, so if the weather stays cold, I'm going to do a how-to video on that. But until next time, ciao.